Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Villains United Catman. This is a gold label McFarlane Toys Store exclusive, and I'm really excited for this Catman figure. Catman's a little bit more of an obscure Batman villain. I always thought it was kind of cool. Catman for Catwoman, kind of a hokey villain back in the day, but in the last, 15 years or so, he's become a little bit more serious. He was part of the Secret Six for a while, and that got him a lot of exposure. And this is a regular, modern version of Catman, and that appeals to me greatly. One more additional Bat Rogue to add to the mix, and he's in his normal attire. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus, and this is a gold label collection. Gold label figure simply means it's a retailer exclusive. This particular guy is exclusive to the McFarlane Toys Store. Here he is in the package. Looks like we have a knife, a couple of hands with claws, a couple other gripping hands, and then a display stand and a collector's card. DC Multiverse Catman. One side of the package, Catman from Villains United. Other side simply says Catman. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there's his barcode, in case it helps anybody. And on the back side, here is Catman posed up. So no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with a display stand, a collector's card, 2 knives, 2 gripping hands, and then 2 hands with his claws attached. But before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Catman. His real name is Thomas Blake. He's a villain from Gotham City that's inspired by both Catwoman and Batman. What I appreciate about him is he's one of those sort of C-lister, maybe even D-lister Bat villains. I'd say nowadays probably the C-lister category. I like the obscure villains, and I like when they give us additional Batman characters in their normal, traditional look. I'm glad it's not a Dark Knight's Metal weird version of Catman, and I don't even know if there is one. And it's a modern version of Catman, not the old school version. And honestly, his costume has not changed much over the years. Kind of started off as a corny villain, kind of imitating Catwoman. But as the years progressed, he was leading the Secret Six, and that was a very popular storyline. So, let's take a look at him. Starting with his head here, looks pretty good. I bet somebody could repaint this guy into Wildcat pretty easily. He's got the short cat ears, the orange cowl, angry looking face, some teeth exposed. The 3 claw marks, that's always been his sort of signature logo on his chest. It's definitely a Batman body. Upon first glance, I think it's the Nightfall Batman body, but we'll check that out in great detail later in this video. Double jointed elbows, large gloves. The claws look pretty cool, kind of like cat claws. Kind of reminds me of Wolverine a little bit. He's got this cloth cape, which is absolutely fantastic. It is giant, you can spread it out, really big. I'm surprised they'd give us a Catman with a cloth cape when there's a huge shortage of Batmans with cloth capes. Double jointed knees, orange boots, orange outfit, different shades. Overall, he looks fantastic. Looks like we're going to be able to holster his knives onto the back of his belt. He's got nice little pouches here. Overall, it's a very good looking figure, a nice Bat villain to add to the roster. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Very well done. It looks exactly like it should. And here's the figure broken down as far as it can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand, the typical McFarlane stand we've seen a million times before. It's a black perfect circle, very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Catman from the comics, Catman from Villains United. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now let's check out his hands. He has a total of 4 of them. 2 gripping hands, and then 2 hands with the claws attached. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his gripping hands. These will allow him to hold the knives. And here he is with the second pair of hands. I guess these are also a pair of gripping hands, but they're holding those claws. And the detail on the claws is very nice. I mean, look at that. Very well done. I like how it kind of shows him holding them. A lot of sculpting detail there. A lot more complicated or intricate than the Mattel version. Here are the McFarlane version of the claws at the back, next to the Mattel versions on the front. The Mattel versions are a lot simpler. McFarlane has a lot more detail, a lot more intricate. The only thing I like better about the Mattel versions is they actually go in and out of his hands. But McFarlane has 2 different hands, so it's pretty much just as good. Now let's look at his knives. He has 2 of them. They're exactly the same. The blade looks very nice, good sculpting detail. And the handle here, once again, nice sculpt. At least has 2 different colors on here. I appreciate that. Here's Catman holding those 2 knives. And here he is, holstering those knives. Now when you have his cape there, you won't be able to see him. And I really have a problem with the way he's holstering them because it looks like it's going to cut the hell out of his ass. Seems like a pretty bad decision there. And as much as I like a figure that can holster their own weapons, I don't know, this doesn't really do it for me. They're kind of in the way of his arms. On the backside here, they're going to cut his butt. I don't know, it just seems a little off to me. So when looking at this Catman figure, I thought he's definitely made with a McFarlane Batman figure. But which one? Upon first glance, I thought it was a Nightfall Batman, and it most certainly is. So let's check out what parts are different and what parts are reuse. So obviously their heads are completely different. Then we go further down. The neck area is a little bit different. Catman here, of course, has this cloth cape, which is fantastic. And Batman has this plastic or sort of soft rubber cape. And go further down. So the torso, it does look to be the same, although obviously the Batman logo and the cat scratches a little bit different. The cat scratches are not sculpted, they're simply painted. I'd say this was the torso before they added the flat bat signal on here. Bottom part of the torso is also the same. They did add these sculpted sort of straps onto Catman. I'd say the arms, the top part, the bicep appear to be exactly the same. The glove, definitely different. And the hands are a little bit different. This Batman's using fisted hands. Catman has the gripping hands, which are definitely going to be the same as the Nightfall gripping hands. The diaper and crotch area, totally different. At least the belt, definitely different. And then we go further down. The legs and the boots are identical. So they're exactly the same figure, except for the diaper piece, the forearm gloves, the head, the cape, and then a few alterations to the torso. Now they've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 7.2 inches tall, which can translate to just over 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up, good amount, down, pretty good amount as well. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out a little bit more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest, increasing range of motion and covering the large gap that would be there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrists can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. In his torso, he's got a ball joint. Rotate around, forward and back. Another one in his waist. Rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion. Seem to get a little more out of the torso than the waist on this guy. Legs, complete just splits. Not a ball joint. McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation. Pretty good on this guy. Legs go forward about that much. It's kind of spread aside. They go forward a little more. Back, not much. Double jointed knees below that. And then his ankle, forward and back. Rotate. Tilt, rock. And of course, to articulation. Here's an image of Catman on a rooftop in Gotham, surrounded by cats. Now let's check them out. Next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other Catman figures. And you might think to yourself, what? There's other Catman figures out there? Yeah, sure is. Here he is, next to the Mattel Batman Unlimited Catman figure. This figure is awesome, just like the McFarlane version. I've always been a fan of Catman, especially the modern version. Both these are based off a Batman body, but they just look so good to me. I'm really happy to have both these figures in my collection. And here he is, next to a custom Catman that my wife made for me, even before the Mattel release was done. It does look similar, and I think it's made from the base same body, a DC Universe Classics Batman. Paint job's rough, one of the earliest customs we made. Still, it holds a special place in my heart, even though I've replaced it time and time again. Here are all 3 of my Catman figures. They've only made the 2 officially licensed ones, but I'm always going to have that custom lined up with the other Catman figures. And here he is, next to the Target exclusive red White Knight Batman. This guy has always given me off Catman vibes. The different shades of orange on his boots, his costume. I mean, This guy could damn near fill in for Catman for you if it weren't for that giant bat signal. No longer I'm going to have to use a Batman figure in place of Catman. There's an actual Catman now. Here are all the figures that I have of either Catman or Give Me Catman vibes. They look pretty good in a little line like that. Here's Catman next to the McFarlane Nightfall Batman. They share the same base body but look totally different. And of course, this is D Hunter's Reviews, and I have both versions of the Nightfall Batman. And this is not the first Nightfall Batman with claws that I have. Here's Catman with his claws, next to a custom Jean-Paul Valley in the bat suit with his claw gloves on. I had to do a forearm swap to make this work. Here's Catman next to the Nightfall Catwoman. They definitely interacted in these two costumes. Catwoman in a purple suit in the 90s. Catman was around during that point. Pretty cool. And here he is, next to the Arkham City Catwoman. Then, next to Zoe Kravitz Catwoman from The Batman. Here's Catman, next to all the different officially licensed McFarlane DC Multiverse Catwoman figures out there. 3 from The Batman, 2 from Arkham City, and 2 from Nightfall. Can't wait when we reveal the next Catwoman figure. Here are all the different Catwoman figures I have from different various companies. Here's this McFarlane Catman, next to a Mattel DC Universe Classics Wildcat. I think somebody could make a pretty cool Wildcat custom from this Catman figure, and I hope McFarlane eventually tackles that character. Here's Catman next to a few different Cheetah figures, and my god, that pose on the older DC Direct Cheetah on the left. Here he is, next to a McFarlane DC Multiverse Bane. Bane and Catman were both members of the Secret Six, although this Bane is far too large to be next to Catman. Here's a Bane, Catman, and Deadshot that are fairly appropriately sized next to each other to be members of the Secret Six. Now let's check them out. Next is one of the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Catman here is a pretty obscure Batman villain, but not nearly as obscure as Polka Dot Man here. I never thought McFarlane would give us both these characters. Now let's check them out. Next is some other McFarlane Toys Store exclusive figures. The first ones I made were the all-red Red Hood and the Amber Scarecrow from Arkham Knight. Then they made the unmasked version of the Zernar Batman and the Infinite Frontier Robin. Then they made the Kyle Rayner Blue Lantern figure. Then they made the classic Dick Grayson Robin. Then, the Speed Force version of the Barry Allen Flash from the recent Flash movie. And the most recent McFarlane Toy Store exclusive is the Unchained Armor Superman Patina variant. Now let's check him out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to some San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures. The Dark Knight's Metal Alan Scott Red Lantern, the 30th anniversary Nightfall Batman, and the 85th anniversary Superman. I have the rest of San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures on the way, and I can't wait to do videos on them. And here he is, next to the Tarte exclusive Gold Label Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack. Then, with some recent Tarte exclusive Jokerized figures. And now, next to the recent Tarte exclusive Flashpoint figures, the Flashpoint Aquaman, Project Superman, and Flash. Here's Catman, next to a few more recent Tarte exclusive figures, Sinestro Corps Batman, Impulse War Flash, and Deadman. And here he is, next to the Injustice 3-pack, Batman, Supergirl, and Dr. Fate. Then, next to some recent Walmart exclusive Gold Label figures, we have the Vampire Joker, Batman and Superman, Captain Atom, Beast Boy, and Eradicator. And now, next to the goofy head sculpt Rebirth Superman vs. Ultraman 2-pack, here's Catman. Next to the most recent Batman wave, we have the Nightfall Batman, Batman Incorporated, Batwing, and the Batman Reborn Two-Faces Batman. And finally, next to the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Black and White Accent Superman and Flash. Now let's check him out. Next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you know which lines you can mix them with. Since it's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, here's Catman, next to a can of Citrus Drop Soda. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, with some Mafex figures. then with some Hasbro, Marvel Legends, and here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures, and finally, next to some Jazz Wars Portnet figures. So overall, this Catman figure is awesome. This is exactly the type of stuff I want McFarlane to make more of. A regular, modern Bat villain. Now it is very interesting, they gave us a comic Catman figure before giving us a normal comic Penguin, Black Mask, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, and so many others. Still, really happy to have this figure. If this is what the McFarlane Toy Store exclusives are going to be like moving forward, then sign me up for all of them. He's made with the Nightfall Batman body, but it's smart reuse. Very well done. The figure looks fantastic. Paint job crisp, articulation, everything you expect from modern McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. The sculpt and paint job are excellent. Accessories are also really cool. If I were to rate this guy, I almost want to give him a 9 out of 10, but he's not quite worth that. Now, the holsters, I love holstering a weapon, but they just don't work very good. The knives are scratching his butt. They're getting in the way of his arms. They don't really work properly. So I ditched the knives out of his holsters, and that's a little disappointing. The cloth cape is awesome. It looks a little bit off where this sort of cowl is plastic around the neck, and then turns into the cape, which is a different shade. But I really do like that cape. I'm going to give this guy an 8.5 out of 10. Very solid figure. I'm enjoying him a lot. Another member of the Batman Rogues gallery. Another excellent figure by McFarlane. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.